Pretty good. Okay. All right, you should be able to hear me good. I should be coming in pretty clear. All right, let's see. All right. What's up? What's up? Trying to get back into some T-bait. Got chapter 451 that we got to get into. Yeah, man, I got to get back into the live streaming. Like, we're going to start off with Arthur Lewin, so that's cool. But yeah, Changes, part 2. So, we know how last chapter ended off. Last chapter ended off with the Wraiths coming in, and they ended up snatching Aludarai or something like that. I think that's how you say his name. The one of the sovereigns. They ended up snatching him up, and then Sarah's got a disc that he gave to her, and then you got Lyra, who was heading to go find Arthur. So that's how we ended. I'm curious to see where we go from now. We're gonna start off with Arthur, so that's cool. Happy about that. But before I start this off, I want to just say this really quick. I have a audiographic book recommendation for you guys because I have read all 3 of these books in the past week. Yes, I'm driving. I'm listening to these books 20 hours. Shit, probably like 12 hours a day. I kind of get through I get through maybe a book every 2 days, something like that. So I got to all 3. And it's called Red Rising by Pierce Brown. And you gotta check it out. You just gotta check it out. The graphic audio is phenomenal. The voice acting, all that shit is great. But yeah, man, it's more of a sci-fi type of story. So, you got high technology stuff. People can spaceships and galaxies. They kind of conquered all the different galaxies. Got Earth, got Mars, got Mercury, Venus, Saturn, Jupiter. They conquered all the planets and stuff. And man, you got this hierarchy of people where they got the people at the very top is the gold. The people at the very bottom is the red. And so basically the plot is that they want to go and conquer the red at the bottom. They're basically slaves. They want to get out of slavery, and they start a revolution, and just the whole story about this revolution, and the one person who they believe can be the leader of the revolution, and we're following his story. So it's really dope. It's really dope, man. You guys gotta check it out. I just finished the 3rd book, and I mean, I'm gonna give this story a 9.5 out of 10. It's that good. And I will argue and say that the 3rd book is probably the best. It's kind of crazy how it happens, but the 3rd book is probably the best, man. I really like the main character a lot more after reading the 3rd book. So that's all I got to say about that. But let's get into some T-bait. Hopefully you guys check it out, man. It's a phenomenal story. I think y'all like it. So, but let's get started with T-bait. Chapter 451, Arthur Lewin. All right, so let me fix this really quick because I'm kind of gonna be a little more to Let me go over here on that side, and then let's do live chat, all messages. Cool. We good. And I just fucked up and lost my place. Oh, I got my place again. All right, so Arthur Lewin. As I led Sylvie and Kara back into the throne room for what felt like the 10th time over the last 2 days. Let me see. As I led Sylvie and Kara back into the throne room. So we know how they left, because we left it with I think Sharon wanted to talk to Sylvie. As I led Sylvie and Kara back into the throne room for what felt like the 10th time over the last 2 days, I couldn't help the flash of annoyance that passed through me. What is his name again? Edirith or Edirith? It might be one of those two. I'm not entirely sure. But Edirith, I'm gonna just say, or Edirith. I'm gonna say Edirith. Edirith and the 2 other young dragons were already there, but Sharon and Winsome hadn't arrived yet. I could tell by Edirith's somewhat bored expression that their search had yet again been fruitless. The other wraiths, which, if Sylvie's vision had been correct, included at least the remains of two battle groups, had melted away entirely. It seems unlikely that they've simply given up and gone home, Sylvie projected into my thoughts. They are certainly out there biding their time, even if we've delayed their attack against Sharan and Eddiston. Sharan had assigned 3 dragons to help search Eddiston and the surrounding area. He hadn't actively hampered my work in any way, but he made precious little time for a joint strategic conference and outright refused to allocate more resources to the effort. Okay, so that's what so he's not really trying to put a whole lot of effort into the search for these wraiths. So that makes sense. It's almost like they want the wraiths to attack, Regis mused, like they're baiting them out or something. Sylvie shook her head as she scanned the faces of the other dragons with care. No, I think they genuinely believe that the threat is minimal, that their very presence will prevent it. They aren't stupid. They understand their orders and the dangers presented. But they can't accept that danger as real. A lifetime of roosting atop the very peak of power and authority in Ephiodus has convinced them that they'll be victorious no matter what happens. Yeah, it goes back to, them and their egos, their pride, and, them just being at the top for so long. They don't think anybody's really a threat other than like an Asura. You're all talking in your heads again, aren't you? Kara said, her voice low as she paced at my side. I blanched, giving her a guilty look. Sorry, force of habit. What was I going to say? Yeah, force of habit. Kara waved off the apology, her gaze drifting to the 3 dragons. I imagine I'll get used to it if you keep me around long enough. I don't want you to feel unwelcome, I answered quickly. I only keep asking if you'd like to return to Alacrian camps because my eyes flickered to the dragons. I know you haven't had the best experience with them so far. Kara gave me a wry smile. I've been sent here by Lady Saris as a representative, so putting my personal experience aside, I'll stay to fulfill that duty. Okay. We slipped back into a strained quiet until Sharan arrived a few minutes later, strolling into the throne room as casually as if he were out for a leisurely afternoon walk. Curtis Glader was kept pace at his side and gave me a familiar, although not particularly friendly, wave when he saw me waiting. What do you mean you still have to read the beginning of the day? You haven't started? That's crazy. Wait, maybe that makes sense because you're the crazy kid. Still, no sign of any more wraith activity. Edirith confirmed to Sharan promptly, snapping to attention. With all due respect, sir, I think we're wasting our time. Sharan stopped and smiled, his hands clasped behind his back. He nodded as if he'd expected the news. It seems your execution of their scout has ended their threat, Arthur. You scoured half of Sapin by now, with the element of surprise no longer working in their benefit. I think it's safe to say that the wraiths have called off this attack. We can't know that, but I let out a breath, expelling some of my frustration with it. Perhaps you're right. That, of course, was the problem with visions of the future. Elder Renia had tried her best to drill the fact into my head that reacting to her visions, changing what they foretold, carried with it its own inherent dangers. Besides, the search has started to draw attention from the population. Curtis chimed in. People have noticed your presence, Arthur, and it's generating, people have noticed your presence, Arthur, and it's generating all sorts of worry rumors after the explosion outside the city. I glanced at Curtis, remembering the vision. Watching the Glader's deaths had pushed me to act rashly, but I didn't regret it. With no way to know when the attack was going to happen, delaying risks allowing that future to become a reality. On the other hand, lying in wait to spring some trap could have cost me days, even weeks of valuable time. Once I'd actually discovered the Wraith Scout, it was too late to do anything but give chase. Don't be too hard on yourself, Sylvie thought. Hindsight may be perfect, but even visions can't help us see all outcomes. Okay. So that's where we're at right now. On what's it? Lebo, what up, though? What up, Lebo? Back again and alive. Back again and alive. That's dope. Glad to have you back in here. But yeah. So basically, I guess this whole Wraith attack thing, they're kind of giving up and going back home because the people who were going to attack them already attacked Aludarai and took him back to what the fuck is the Agrona's new home called? I forget what it's called, but took him back there. So unless he got another Wraith squad waiting, then they're not gonna find anything anyway. So it is gonna be a waste of time. I'm just wondering if in this chapter, if Lyra's gonna get there. Like, I don't know how long they've been there. It seems like they've been there for a little bit, but I don't know how long they've been there. But I would think that Lyra would get there in this chapter, I think. Tegun Calum. Yeah, there you go. Thanks, Lebo. Tegun Calum. That's right. Man, I've been reading the other story. I got so many other different names in my head. It's crazy when you're trying to read one story, but then you're also reading other stories, and you just got names, and everything just kind of get jumbled up into a big mess. But anyway, so Curtis said that they're probably going to, or no, Curtis didn't say that. The other dragon said that, the Edirith or whatever. Don't be too hard on yourself. Okay. Well, you know what they say. The soldier who never makes mistakes takes his orders from someone who does, Regis added. I'm not sure how that's applicable, I thought back. Regis swirled around my core, his incorporeal form humming with amusement. Nothing really. I just wanted to feel included since we're doling out little wisdoms, you know? I repressed the building sigh and turned my attention back to Sharon. Now, Arthur, I had hopes we might have some time to speak privately. You've kept yourselves so busy I barely had any time at all to speak with my cousin. Sharon lifted a hand as I began to counter, stopping me. I won't withdraw the extra dragons I brought to Edison just yet, but I think the city can live without you and Sylvie for a few hours. In the end, all I could do was agree. Edirith was sent back to his duties, and Curtis bid us farewell as he hurried off to some other meeting. So they haven't even had the meeting yet, so I guess it hasn't been as long as I thought. So maybe Lyra won't get there in this chapter. Because she still got to take the nearest teleportation gate, because the portal, the one portal that Ceres had ended up getting sliced in two. Offering his arm to Sylvie, Sharon led the way, effortlessly making meaningless chatter about the state of the city and the continent, what he thought of everything from the people to the food, and other such gossip. The drawing room he led us to was unnecessarily opulent, clearly a holdover from a time before the war. The defensive structure of the city and palace was momentarily left behind as we entered the white and gold chamber, all smooth lines and extravagance. The furniture looked as if it had hardly been used. The plush rugs were as bright as if they've been woven that way. If they've been woven that very morning. My reading getting jumbled up. And even though a large open fireplace burned merrily, there wasn't a smudge of dirt or ash on the white surfaces. Winsome sat or stood with his back to the fireplace, watching quietly as we entered. He had given up on attempting to force Sylvie's immediate return to Ephiodus. I forgot he was trying to do that shit. But I was certain he had already reached out to his master for instructions. If Kez's intended to force the issue, well, I wasn't exactly sure what I would do yet. I still hadn't gotten a read on Sharon, who was either reasonable or just more patient and less obvious in his manipulation than Winsome. Not being certain made me more wary of the Scarred Dragon than of a blowhard like Vakajur, and yet he made a potentially interesting ally. If he is driven by something other than blind loyalty to Kez's, we could gain a lot by working alongside him, I thought, looking at his back. That's true too, because you got to think, not everybody, not everybody is, a teat sucking guy like Winsome, that just looks at Kez and just, fucking his brilliance and just, so you got to think that there's some dragons out there that maybe they like, all right, Kez is fine because he's the leader right now, but so this is good. So I'm interested in learning more about Sharran and seeing what this conversation is going to be like. Oh, okay, crazy good. Solo Leveling, you finished Solo Leveling? Solo Leveling was the first novel that I started to read. I think it was, right? Yeah, Solo Leveling was the first one. And that shit was just hype. All hype. Solo Leveling was all hype. And it definitely different from reading something like the beginning after the end. That's for sure. You don't get a whole lot of character development, a lot of character conversations. You mostly get just hype ass battles and egress and all that fucking hype shit. So yeah, Solo Leveling was dope. But anyway, where was I at? Well, I wasn't exactly sure what to do yet. Okay. Loyalty was already proven to be a difficult problem to navigate. In particular, Catelyn and Curtis Glader occupied a worrying position. Specifically, I was uncomfortable with just how close they already seemed to Sharran and his soldiers. This is crazy, man. I just don't understand really how, I don't know. Catelyn, maybe it's just the intimidation factor. But basically what I'm trying to say is I don't understand how they could be even a little bit loyal to the dragons when Kez sent Tacy to fucking kill them. They should already have an immediate distrust of the dragons because they work under Kez. Kez sent Tacy to kill them. They shouldn't have any loyalty to him at all. They should be suspicious. They should be like, oh, he brings some dragons here? What the fuck? What if he orders them to kill us? We gonna all just be dead. You know what I'm saying? So it's just for them to be close to them is, but then Catelyn knows, Catelyn's not dumb. So maybe this is just Arthur's thoughts, but he hasn't sat down and spoke to Catelyn. So, so maybe that's just what it is. Maybe Arthur just thinks too little and thinks they're kind of close to them, but really they can't trust him at all. Catelyn said it herself. She was like, they're trying to smear Arthur's image and his thoughts on the people and shit like that. Because I just think that when Kez sends Tacy to come kill them, and then Arthur's the one that saves their lives, on top of saving everybody's life from just being a lance, they should be have the utmost loyalty to him because he actually values their lives. So I don't know, man. The people, I can kind of get that. Maybe some propaganda, manipulation type of shit. But, I don't understand how Catelyn and Curtis could be even close to the dragons, at all, whatsoever. But intimidation is a big thing. So maybe that's just what it is. Let me read what you're saying, Lebo, really quick. Can't ask you this, but finally I have the chance. Regis Doom form? I don't know what Regis Doom form is, Lebo, but with enough control over destruction, do you think he can beat Dragon and other swords? So listen, so this is actually funny though, because this is actually a good question for my power level video that I'm still working on. I'm still working on this power level video. So basically, the way I did this was, I'm doing all this shit on my phone, so it's a lot more difficult than just having a computer and learning how to do all this shit or whatever. But so basically, the way I'm gonna do it is that I got power levels for all the different characters, and the way I got the levels is set up, I got the levels from a range 1 to 100. So 100 being the strongest person in the series, and this is all just a 1-to-1 fight. So it's not 2-on-2 or groups or whatever. The only group I actually have is the Wraiths. I have a power level for the Wraiths as a group, and then I have a power level for just the individual Wraiths. and then you got the power level for the strongest person in the series. And what I mean by that is just if this person and this person fought each other one-on-one, who would win? That's all that means. So yeah, so he said that his Doom form. Now, I don't know. I don't want to. I'll tell you this. I'll spoil a little bit. So I've got. Let me see. Let me double check because I might be wrong about this. Let me see really quick. Because I got power levels for most of the people already. I even got a power level for the new character we got, Pathera or something like that. But what up though, Vasquez? What's up? I haven't heard from you in a minute, I think. But anyway, so that's like the power level. So Regis, so you said this. Do I think that Regis and you said his Doom form? Are you talking about his form with like the wings back when he was like, like raining fire, or not fire, but raining like destruction all over everything? Are you talking about that form? And do you think he can beat a dragon and other swords? So no, I don't think so. I don't think so at all. I don't. See, and I started to explain this in the video talking about the power levels. So my problem with Regis is that Regis doesn't have a whole lot of stamina. Destruction is his most powerful thing, but Regis doesn't have the stamina to be able. Let me see. Is it even working? Yeah. So I got okay. So Regis doesn't have the stamina to be able to fight in a sword or any dragon. So I got a power level for like a base dragon, and then I got a power level for like the more advanced dragons. Like Vakajor, Sharan, Winsome, stuff like that. So let me see. Where did I put? Okay. I think you're going to find it interesting. I think you're going to find the power levels interesting because, like I said, it's basically a number from 1 to 100. And the way I did it was, so like a 15 and a 16 is still really close, but just being 1 point higher, it makes a big difference. And the way that this story is with the power levels, because you remember when Varian has said, I'm kind of going on a tangent right now, but you remember when Varian has said that it takes like 4 or 5 silver core mages just to beat a white core mage, and then I think he was talking about how many yellows it would take to beat a silver core mage, something like that, when he was talking to Arthur about that. So I took that into consideration, right? So you might have somebody that's strong enough to beat them one-on-one, but if this person paired up with that person, could they take the two of them? And so I kind of put that into consideration too. So I'll give you a spoiler and just say that right now I've got Ellie, because I started off with Ellie. I don't have anybody below Ellie right now. Yeah, I don't have anybody below Ellie, so I'm not like including any of like the yellow core mages, because if you're under silver core, you're kind of fodder at this point. Now I don't have anybody on there. What was the name of the one chick that was Arthur's teacher back when they dove into the tunnels, and she has like the glass. She used like fire and earth to make glass. I can't remember her name. She had like the red hair, I think. But I don't have a power level for her. But the weakest person I have on here is Ellie right now. Ellie is the weakest. And I got Ellie at a 14. I got Ellie at a 14. So if that says anything to you, that's what it is. I got Ellie at a 14. And I'm pretty sure you can guess who I got at the top. But yeah, so Regis and his Doom form, I don't think he can beat a dragon. I don't think he can beat a dragon because I don't think he has the stamina to be able to tango with a dragon. Like that was one of the things that really hurt him with the Wraiths when he was fighting with Arthur, was that he just ran out of energy and ether just way too quick. And so, he was kind of done in really quick. And then also, too, let me give you another example. Remember when he was fighting with Cadell? He was flying and fighting with Cadell, but he ran out of stamina really quick when he was fighting Cadell. And he was like, I can't keep this up forever. So basically, he could fight Cadell one-on-one to a standstill, but once he runs out of energy, it's a wrap for him. You know, so that's why Regis isn't very high in my ranking. I actually dropped him down. I dropped him down. He was a 30, and I dropped him down below a 30. So take with that what you will. But yeah, I'm still working on it though. I'm still working on the video, so it should be cool. It should be cool. I'm like, what am I like? I'm like halfway through. Yeah, I'm like halfway through. So yeah, so stay tuned for that. But yeah, I don't think he'd be able to beat any of the basic dragons, like, at all. Like, no, I think that he'll be able to tango for a little bit. He'll run out of energy, and then he'll get mopped. That's what I think will happen. But let's see. So where am I at? I went a whole little spiel for your question, Libra. But let's see. I was uncomfortable with just how close. Oh yeah. So I was comfortable with just how close they already seemed to Sharon and his soldiers. Already, Sylvie Sent responded to my thoughts. Remember, it's been months for them. Oh yeah, it has been months because he went and made another ether core. Or not ether core. He made another ether layer, and he was there for months. Yeah, that's right. So, but still, it don't matter though because they're fucking traitors. Listen, Levo. If you think he's stronger, then you know you can have your opinion about that. I'm not about to knock it. When you see the list, I think it's going to make sense to you because I'm going to be explaining some things as I'm going through the list on like where I place like Ellie, Nico. I think you'll be surprised at where I place Nico. Like, if y'all haven't really thought about it, Nico is weaker now than he was when Arthur fodderized him. Like, he's weaker now. He went from like a white core mage to a yellow core mage when he got his core rebuilt by Cecilia. And so the only reason he's even halfway a little bit strong is because he's got that staff. That's the only thing that's keeping him like halfway strong. Like, honestly, if it was a fight between Nico and Ellie, I mean, I think Nico will win, but I think that it will be a closer fight than you think. Like, Nico is like dropped down in strength, like by a lot. Because remember, he used to be able to fly without even using anything. Like, he could just fly. And that was kind of my barometer for like knowing how strong someone was, because I got like tiers, right? So I got tiers to the levels. My first tier is like anybody that's under white core mage. So like silver core, you know, that sort of area. So in that little tier, you got like Kathleen, you got Curtis, you got Ellie, you got Virian, you got those people, right? They're below white core in that silver core range, right? And then you got the other tier, which is white core mage / retainer level, / retainer level. And so I got that tier. And then after that tier, you got the scythes, right? The scythe is another tier. After that tier, then you start getting into like the middle between a scythe and an Asura. So somewhere in between there. And I also factor in the fact that like for example, I got the sovereigns on the list too, but I understand that they're not like warriors, like how the Pantheon races, the dragons that are trained. So the sovereigns, they're a little bit different. So you got like a base level for like an Asura. So think about like Ren. I got Ren on the list too. So Ren is on the list too. So he's got a power level too. So you'll be interested in hearing that one. But yeah. So like I got different tiers for it, just because, you know, it's just once you get below silver core, you're pretty much trash and can get wiped out easily by like a white core mage, like, or a retainer. Like, it ain't nothing. Like a regular retainer would be able to just, annihilate a bunch of yellow core mages. Like, it wouldn't even be a competition, like, at all. So that's why, like, when it comes to Ellie, like, Ellie's the weakest person on the list so far. You know, like, even if I try to put Boo on the list, I thought about putting Boo on the list, but like, Boo's weak. Like, Boo by himself is weak. Like, if I were to just guess right now, Boo would be like a 5. Like, Boo is not that strong at all. So yeah. Yeah. So, but yeah, I'm a little bit talkative about this list because I've been kind of working on it and thinking about it for a while. But also when I do make the video, I would love to get like comments to know like what y'all might agree with, and you might disagree. Maybe you will move someone up and say, oh no, they're not like a 25, they're more like a 30. You know, because if you just look at the levels that I got, it's like everybody, I believe this person can beat this person, this person can beat that person, this person can beat that person. So, yeah. But yeah, but you know, I also got a question too, because I also thought about this. Like, how strong is a scythe from a retainer? Because I'm gonna give you another spoiler. I believe the strongest retainer is Saurith. Saurith is the strongest retainer. And so, but how much stronger is Seris in comparison to Saurith? And I think that they're apart, but they're not that far apart. Like, if there was two Sauriths together and they wanted to fight Seris, who would win? A 2-on-1. Two Sauriths and one Seris. Who would win? I would put my money on the Saurith. That's what I think. I think that if they were to tag team Seris, I think that Seris would lose. So, but that's what I was thinking about when I was making this list. Like, oh, if they went 2-on-2, who would win? You know, how, like, just to see like how much stronger they are. But yeah. But if you get like somebody like, you know, if you get if you get something like all the sides put together and they go and try to fight, it don't even matter. It don't even matter. But yeah. And you might be surprised at where I put Kara on this list too. Also, another person I got on this list is Enola Frost. Like, after hearing what she did in the last chapter before, I had to put Enola Frost on there because Enola Frost is like Arthur, except before he got his ether core. Like, she's like another genius fighter. She's like one of the best at a super young age. She got a regalia and shit. Like, Enola Frost is super dope. She was like the only person who wasn't shocked by the Aladari coming through in the whole fight to be able to get her people into safety. And she's young as shit too. It's just like, so yeah, Enola Frost is also on the list too, and you might be surprised at where I got her. But talking about this getting me excited about making the video, because I've been doing so much reading, I haven't had a chance to go through the video yet. But pretty much I got, let me see, I can tell you how many characters I got on the list so far. So I've got, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So I got about 14 characters on the list so far. I'm still working on it, so it's a work in progress. But anyway, back to what I was saying. So already, Sylvie responded to my thoughts. Remember, it's been months for them, and the dragon's powers of persuasion are far more potent than most humans can handle. Yeah, that's what I said. The intimidation, not the killing intent, the king's force, all that shit matters. They do seem problematically smitten, Regis added in reference to the Gladers. We'll see, I sent back. Lady Sylvie, I apologize that this Wraith situation has delayed our chance to converse properly, Sharon said as he closed the drawing room door behind us. I've looked forward to an opportunity to meet you again since learning of your survival. You are looked at as a bit of an enigma among the clan, and that was before recent events. I let Sylvie take the lead in the conversation. I knew I had been pushing back too hard these past few days, trying to force equilibrium between myself and the dragons. Sylvie was better positioned to speak on equal footing, capitalizing on her relationship with Kezis, but only if I held myself in check. The link between our minds allowed us to speak as one when necessary, feeding off each other's knowledge with each response. That was made pretty clear to me when Arthur and I trained in Ephiodus, Sylvie said lightly as she moved around the room and admired the decor. I said decor. The decor. Kezis insinuated No, that's not insinuated. Insulated. Kez insulated me from much of it to keep me focused on the training. But I didn't miss the stares and whispers. A mixed lineage dragon and basilisk born outside of Ephiodus and bonded with a human. Remember, I asked this question too. So, can a sword bond with a human being? Like a regular sword? Can they bond with a human being? Or is Sylvie a unique case because it happened when she was like born? Because I still don't understand how the fuck can she even bond to another human being and be able to like telepathically be able to talk to each other. Like it's like she's like she's one of the beasts from the Beast Glades, which she's not. So I want to learn more about that. Like, is there any other history of an Asura bonding with a human being? So Sharon Smile. Wait. Yeah, mixed lineage of a dragon and basilisk born outside and bonded with a human. I am an oddity that has never ever been imagined in Ephiodus, or so I was told. So maybe it has never happened before. Sharon's smile was warm, if slightly, is that chagrin? True. If perhaps not a polite way to phrase things, there were many among the clan that resented Lord Indra's tight grip on you. I think you would have found your clan quite receptive to your presence, had it been allowed. Still, in the end, it only enhanced your mystique. He chuckled airily, then sobered. When it was learned that you had passed, well, it was quite a blow to the Indrath clan. I listened intently, absorbed in their conversation. I hadn't given much consideration to what the other dragons must have thought of Sylvie. She was my bond first and foremost. In my head, her mixed lineage and being granddaughter of the most powerful Asura in Ephiodus was always a distant afterthought. As you can see, the rumors of my death were clearly exaggerated, Sylvie said, a note of humor in her tone despite her thoughts pulling away from considering what had happened after she sacrificed herself for me. I do appreciate what you said, though. I hadn't given much thought to my relationship with the rest of the clan, if I'm being honest. She leaned against the back of a couch and shot me a look. We've been pretty busy fighting a war. Sharon cleared his throat. Please, make yourselves comfortable. We have much to talk about, and there is no need to be so formal while doing so. Leading by example, Sharon moved to a high-backed chair with golden leaves embroidered up and down the arms. Kara sat stiffly at the far end of the couch, away from Sharon, and Sylvie moved around to sit next to her, using her own body like a shield. I sensed Kara relax immediately, and had to appreciate my bond's social grace. Yeah, man, Sylvie's wise. Like, she's always been what she fucking got wise like super quick. Did she say that she was like learning super fast because she would sit on top of Arthur's head and like I guess go through his thoughts and shit to like learn faster or something? Appearing from the soft shadows around my feet, he went to Kara and sat. Wait, what am I talking about? Oh, Regis chose that moment to manifest. Appearing from the soft shadows around my feet, he went to Kara and sat at her other side at the edge of the couch. Not being able to help himself, he turned and shot a glare at Winsome before settling in menacingly. So everybody's over there snuggling up with Kara, trying to make her feel safe. Meanwhile, Arthur's just by himself, like, fucking, I guess he can just handle himself. And by the way, I'll tell you this. I can just keep on talking about this list, man. Sylvie's, you might be surprised at where Sylvie's at on the list, too. But some of these characters have the potential to be a lot stronger than what I think they are. We just haven't seen them do anything yet. So, yeah. And also, Chul has been disappointing. So maybe you'd be surprised at where he's at on the list, too. Because his ass has been, like, that fight with the sides was pathetic. Honestly, like, I expected a whole lot more. I expected Chul to be more close to, like, a dragon. And if you were to ask me right now, if Chul went toe-to-toe with one of these dragons, he would lose. That's just my opinion. Not being able to help himself, he turned, Winsome, before settling in instantly. Winsome, who stayed by the fire, pretended not to notice. Sharon inspected Regis thoughtfully. Sentient acolyte born of ether, he mused. The three of you are just as unique, individually, as in a group, aren't you? So, have you thought of the proper contingencies regarding the race? I asked, sitting on the edge of a plush chase lounge. Even if they retreated from Ediston and called off their attack on you, they're certainly still in Dicathlon. Considering my words carefully, I added, who knows how many? Certainly more than a single battle group. Sharon seemed to mule over his answer before finally saying, if the Wraiths attack me or the other Guardians directly, I am confident we'll be able to defend ourselves. Seeing the apprehension look on my face, he continued, I understand that Agrona bills these Wraiths as his Asura killers, and no doubt they are capable of Lesserian, by Lesserian standards, but I assure you, I am not the prey they were bred to hunt. Okay, so he's saying that he is stronger than your regular average dragon. And the dragon's out on patrol? I asked, crossing my arms. Let me mute my phone really quick. And the dragon's out on patrol? I asked, crossing my arms. How many do you even have? It doesn't seem like Kez has sent many of you. Are you willing to let your own people be picked off one by one? Sharon nodded slightly as I spoke. I do appreciate the danger there, and I will adjust the patrols to ensure my kin move in pairs, should the need arise. They can retreat and call for additional reinforcements. He cocked his head slightly. Does that satisfy you? Kara leaned forward on her elbows, her ruby eyes intent on the dragon. What about the people of this land? What's to stop the race from launching hit-and-run strikes across Dicathlon to sow discord and chaos? Oh, so he's thinking about a lot of strategy, a lot of battle plans. Okay. Or lest we forget why we're really here. Attacking the Elacrians consigned to the wastelands beyond the mountains. Sarah still needs the dragons. Wait, who is he saying this or is he just thinking this? What about the people of the land? What's to stop the race from launching hit-and-run strikes across Dicathlon to sow chaos? Or at least we forget why we're really here. Attacking the Elacrians consigned to the wastelands beyond the mountains. Sarah still needs the dragon's aid to ensure the Elacrian encampments are defended. So yeah, he's talking. He said all this. Okay. Sharon's brows rose, and a wry smile turned up the corner of his scarred mouth. Spoken like a true Elacrian. And perhaps what you suggest is a possibility, although Agrona has never used his most potent tools for such menial labor before. I think that's how you say that. As for civilian deaths, Lord Indra's orders are to prevent Agrona's forces from destabilizing or destroying this continent. The emphasis of our protection remains on the largest, most influential cities and the nobility that rules them. It was never part of his agreement that we would attempt to protect every single Dicathian life. That's true. Oh, come on, I said, leaning forward and twinging my fingers together. You have taken pains to involve yourselves with the Dicathian public. All I asked was that Kezis help me protect this continent, and you could have done that from behind the scenes. But you've chosen to work directly with the people, building relationships and trust. I paused for a moment, then took a risk. You're clearly pushing to turn public perception away from me and towards the dragons and your allies, such as the Gladers. If you allow a race to roam freely and attack the continent, what will happen to the goodwill you've been trying to foster? That is a really good point. That's a really good point. Let me see what you said, Lebo. I went back and read the chapter where Thyestes' clan was squabbling with Kezis over Tacy. Death. Yeah, Tacy. Yeah, okay. Death dude. It's weird the nicknames you got, Death dude. I had no idea that there were still some phoenixes in FEO that's called The Aveganus clan. Yeah. There's still Phoenixes that's there. Remember, they talked about how, because this is all under Aldir's perspective. They talked about how the Phoenix clans has a very bad history with the dragon race because of what happened in the past with I think it has something to do with Mordain. Yeah. And also I think before Ephiodus was even like stabilized and the Great Eight even existed, back when they were all fighting each other, they had like some long history. So yeah, they got all the races there. There's no even the Basilisk. They still got Basilisk there too. I don't know if you remember that. They still got the Basilisk race there. They said they thought about annihilating the Basilisk clan, but they just ended up picking another clan to serve in the Great Eight. So they're still part of the Great Eight, but they're just not part of Agrona's, clan. Because remember, not only is there the race, there's also a bunch of different clans. Like how Aldir had said. Aldir said that, he risked getting rid of his clan as being part of the Great Eight. So yeah, so his clan would end up being annihilated, or they'll end up not being part of the Great Eight, and they'll use another Pantheon clan and have them be part of the Great Eight. So there's still like a bunch of other races and clans that's not even part of the Great Eight that's still there. I don't know about the Indrath clan. I wonder if there's other dragon races. I'm guessing they will go for other dragon races. Is there other dragon races that are not part of the Great Eight? Just like there's other races that's not part of the Great Eight. Or maybe the dragon race is the one race where everybody grouped together and they're all under the Indrath clan. So like all the dragons are Indrath. I don't know. We don't really know too much about Ephiodus and how all that stuff works, how many people they have, the population and things like that. We don't really know. So he took a risk. I lost my spot. Give me a second. Okay, I found it. So what will happen to the goodwill you've been trying to foster? This question gave him pause, and Sharon didn't answer right away. So Winsome stepped in on his behalf. I have guided the people of Dicathan for generation after generation. Always we have sought to ensure that they were on equal footing with the Grona's people. That's what we're still trying to do. I looked over Kara and Sylvie to match gazes with Winsome. You concentrated power in a few families that could control and handicap our growth. Ooh, talk that shit. Talk your shit. You concentrated power in a few families that could control and handicap our growth through the Lance artifacts. But then you did so silently. Man, they fucking like, they talking this shit. Like, bro, you can't try to do, oh yeah, we always tried to keep you on equal footing. Oh, really? When you fucking put fucking limiters in their cores and shit, and then Lance artifacts and only concentrated the magic in a few families, man, they were afraid of what the people could eventually end up doing. So they had to take precautions to make sure that the humans didn't grow strong enough to be a threat like how the previous gen did. So we already know that game. It's fucking full of shit. You concentrated power in a few families that you could control and handicap our growth through the Lance artifacts. But then you did so silently. This playing for public perception is new. What are you getting out of it? Surely it's more than the old stories of deities gaining power through the beliefs of their subjects, I added, my tone biting but amused. Nothing so crass, Sharon interjected, giving me a tight-lipped smile. But it is important that the Dicathians have hope. What good would it be for us to keep them safe if they themselves have succumbed to the bitter darkness of living without belief in their own future? As for your popularity, his smile tightened yet further, looking almost pained. Kezis rightly saw that split loyalty. Yeah, Kezis rightly saw that split loyalty between you as this deified protector and my kin would potentially engender hostility between Dicathians. We have attempted to mute this by reinforcing the leadership of people like the Glader siblings. So he's saying that by them looking at Arthur as like a deity, he's saying that it will endanger. No. Maybe this is supposed to be endanger and not engender. It will potentially. I don't know what engender means. What the fuck? Engender hostility? Cause or give rise to. Well, you learn something new all the time. Engender means to cause or give rise to something. So potentially causing hostility between Dicathians. We have attempted to mute. How would it cause hostility if unless he's saying it will cause hostility between the Dicathians and the dragons? Anyway, we already know it's full shit. I nodded along, not buying a word of what Sharon said. His excuse was as well-spoken and sensible as it was complete bullshit, but felt no desire to fight him on the subject. My motivations to grow stronger had never included the adoration of Dicathian's populace, and I'd actively pushed against that deification that Sharon mentioned. Which, I mean, when you're that much stronger than something, listen. And this is my problem with Arthur from the very beginning. Like, he needs to just take the reins and be the leader, man. Like, just be the leader of the fucking Dicathians. Like, you're already the de facto leader already. Everybody's answering to you. They take their orders from you. But when you're that much stronger than somebody, when you can literally wipe out hundreds of people with a swipe of your hand, like, how are they not going to look at you as a deity? You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, when you fighting Asuras one-on-one, the quote-unquote gods, how are they not going to look at you that way? Like, it don't make sense. It don't make sense. Anyway. Regardless, Kara inserts it into the brief moment of silence following Sharon's speech. Your Laura's strategy seems to rely on your mere presence being a deterrent. But what we've learned proves that strategy has already failed. We've been here for over 2 days, and you still haven't explained what you're going to do to help protect Alakria refugees in Elenwar. Winsome scoffed, but Sharon was more reserved in his response, saying only, "You are right." We waited for him to continue, but he didn't seem intent on adding anything. How the fuck you gonna just say "you are right" and then not say anything else? What the fuck? That's just so crazy. Oh yeah, you're right. Gonna continue? No. You're right. Through the silence that followed, I felt multiple mana signatures moving purposefully toward the drawing room. Sharon and Winsome had already noticed as well, and Winsome moved toward the door. "In here." "Lyra! There we go! Lyra's here!" "All right." A richly feminine voice said, pitchy with panic, and the drawing room door flew inward. Lyra Dry regarded me with red-rimmed eyes, her shoulders rising and falling with each barely controlled breath. She's tired as fuck. She took a couple halting steps into the chamber, her feet dragging across the marble. She was clearly exhausted, her mana signature weak. I pushed myself out of my seat. "What happened?" She opened her mouth to speak, but the words caught in her throat, and she looked away. Catherine was standing uncertainly in the hall behind her. She flew in, claiming it was urgent. "We are in a meeting," Winsome scoffed, glaring at Catherine, who shrank back. "Why have you allowed this Vitra pawn so deep within the palace?" "Peace," Sharon said softly. There has been an attack, hasn't there? His gaze flicked to me just as mine went to him. Our eyes connected for the briefest instant. I like this Sharon guy, man. I like this Sharon guy. The Wraiths, I said. The words almost a groan as they escaped my lips. Lyra shook her head, then nodded. Her eyes squeezed tightly shut. Her teeth bared in an animalistic snarl. Words strained through those clenched teeth, and she said, Aludari and the Wraiths. I felt my brows pinched together in confusion. Aludari? It might be Aludari. I don't fucking know. One of Agruna's sovereigns, Kara said. Her face was pale. Her red eyes locked on Lyra as she half stood, then slowly sank back down onto the couch, her hands going to her face. There was a sovereign here in Dikathan? I felt out of sorts, like I was missing some important context of this conversation. Lyra, I need you to focus. Tell me what happened. Please, I added more softly. Sharon moved to a low shelf along one wall where a few bottles and glasses rested. He poured a glass full of red liquid and held it out for Lyra. It took her a moment to notice, but when she did, her nose wrinkled in apparent disgust. Her hand flinched toward the glass, and for a moment, I thought she was going to knock it out of Sharon's hand, but she seemed to realize what she was doing and pulled back again. Swallowing heavily, she looked past the dragon and focused on me. I apologize, Regent. This wasn't how... It hasn't been... She took a deep breath and stood up, straighter. Sharon slowly lowered the glass and took a step back to give her some space. Sovereign Aludari of Tarasi, arrived at one of the encampments, desperate for protection. He seemed to believe his begging was difficult to make sense of, but he was terrified of Agrona. Implied that the High Sovereign was behind the death of the Sovereign Exeges and will be coming for him as well. My confusion only deepened as she spoke. Why would Agrona be killing off his own allies, especially his most powerful ones? That's what I was saying. I'm just like, there's no way it was Agrona. But once Aludari came in there and he was all terrified and shit, I'm just like, okay, maybe it was Agrona, but why? That don't make any sense. I looked at Sharon and Winsome for support. The two dragons exchanged an unreadable look, some hidden thought passing between them. I can't be certain, Sharon said after a moment, but the Basilisks have never been loyal, not to themselves or the other Asura. He was babbling, said something about his work being unfinished. I mean, she's not going to be dumb enough to give, she's not going to be dumb enough to give that disc to, Arthur, like, while all the other dragons can see. There's no way she's gonna be that dumb. Okay. So he was babbling something about his work being unfinished. Lyra's brows knitted as she concentrated. He said there were layers to the world, and that he had felt the rising surface tension of a bubble ready to burst. The ravings of a paranoid lunatic, Winslow said, waving away Lyra's words. It offers no hint of why Agrona might be hunting him. Perhaps he was mistaken. If he is the last of the sovereigns, seeing the others fall one by one likely drove him to desperate madness. Some small fact that I had read long ago jumped to the forefront of my mind. The last. Aren't there 5? And then the High Sovereign himself? There's more than 5, because he took, like, damn near his entire clan to Alacria. And the clan has got to be more than fucking 5, so, like, I'm thinking there's, like, shit, dozens. Yeah, aren't there 5? And then the High Sovereign himself? It was Kara who answered. Sovereign Who the fuck is this? Car Caranos hasn't been seen publicly in decades. He's sometimes impolitely referred to as the Invisible Sovereign. We believe he is dead, Winsome said indifferently. Perhaps he was the first victim of Agruna's, what the fuck word is this? Let me see what word. I don't know. Fratricide?
Fratricide.
I said it right, fratricide. So that means the killing of one's brother or sister. Fratricide. God damn, where do they come up with these words? So he was the first victim of Agruna's fratricide. I don't know or particularly care. The chamber went silent for a moment, and then Lyra continued her story, her voice tight with suppressed emotion. The race were not far behind Aladari, 4 of them. They fought. The village destroyed. So many people dead. Lyra's gaze, which had drifted to the floor, snapped up and burrowed into me. Desperation written in the lines of her face. You, Arthur. They blamed you. Said that they were there because I diverted the attack on Ediston. I finished for her. She nodded. Finally, she moved, half stumbling toward the nearest chair before slumping into it, her face in her hands. They defeated him, took him away, and they gave Cerys a warning. Sharon's expression intensified. What warning? That Lyra ground her teeth together, cutting herself off. Glancing from me to Sharon, she licked her lips and started again. That this wasn't over. They left us alive because Agruna wanted to kill us himself. So that was a lie. That's why she paused and looked. She was like, Because think about it. If the dragons thought for a second, because remember, he had said that, listen, when we call you to fight, you're gonna fight. If she would have told them that, they would immediately even more, they already think of them as a threat. They would even more so think they're a threat. And it was like, oh, we gotta go exterminate them because they're just waiting for Agruna's order to start invading or some shit. So she doesn't want to say that. So she want to lay it out a little bit different. That this wasn't over. They left us alive because Agruna wanted to kill us himself. My eyes narrowed as I regarded her. She was lying. I was almost certain of it, but not to me. She doesn't want the dragons to know what the race really said, which likely means it is something that would endanger their continued protection of the Elacrians, Sylvie added. For all the good that protection seemed to be doing for them, Regis chimed in. There is more, Lyra continued, withdrawing something from her dimension device. There's no way you're that dumb! Why would you give this to him in the... Oh my God! There's no way she's that dumb! I mean, if it's something important, just think about this. If it's something important, the dragon's gonna be like, what is that? That's a disc? Bring it here. Give it to me. Because they think they're in charge. So now we're gonna have a fucking conflict again. Or who knows what's on the disc, and they might be telling him to play it in front of everybody, and it's something that they could use to their advantage. Like, man, let's see how this goes. Let's see how this goes. I literally just said there's no way she's gonna give him the disc like in front of everybody, right? She's not that dumb. Bitch fucking pulls out the shit. Lyra continued, withdrawing something from her dimension device. She held it out to me. Cerys told me to bring it to you immediately. I carefully lifted a small dish from her hand. Judging by the silky texture and the off-white coloration, I was confident it was carved of bone. The silky texture and the off-white coloration. I was confident. Is it made of bone that absorbs ether? Or that not absorbs ether but can utilize ether, like the dagger that Kira's brother had? So a silky white texture and an off-white coloration. I was confident it was carved of bone. A blood-stained rune that had been etched into its surface. And it emanated a potent mana signature. Focusing on the mana, I probed it with my ether. Immediately, Another source of mana resonated with it from a long way away. Wait, what? Focusing on the mana, I probed it with... So it has a mana signature. He focused on the mana, probing it with his ether, and immediately another source of mana. So it's two different types of mana inside this disc resonated with it from a long way away. From a long way away. Ringing like a distant bell. Aludarai. It's carved from his bone? So like a tracking device? Maybe? Immediately, another source of mana resonated with it from a long way away, ringing like a distant bell. Aludarai. It's carved from his bone, Regis informed, me sniffing the disc in my hand. Did Ceres know what this artifact is? I asked Lyra. She nodded. Wait, Ceres knew what it was? Okay. I ran the pad of my thumb across the smooth surface, tracing the ridges where the rune was etched. Kara, who had waited and watched, still as stone, as she listened to the retainer's explanation, took a shaky breath. Is my blood alive? Lyra looked at her as if seeing her for the first time. I don't know. Arthur, we need to return to the Alacrian villages. She paused as if considering her words, almost looking surprised at her own thoughts. I need to make sure Corbett, Lenora, and the others are safe. Give Lyra a moment to rest and she will take you. Kara gave me a strange, crestfallen look, but quickly covered it up. Of course. To Sharon, I said, those Alacrians need help. I understand your hesitation, but an attack is no longer some hypothetical situation we're discussing. They laid down their arms, made homes in Dicathian soil, and risked Agrona's wrath. Sharon eyed me uncertainly. Are you worried about the danger they pose? I asked more forcefully. Then consider just how much more dangerous they become if they're forced to turn back to Agrona because we abandoned them on our own shores. Sharon's eyes hardened, and through the scars I suddenly saw his resemblance to Kez's. Alternatively, what would happen if we proactively eradicated the potential risks that these refugees pose and be done with it? That's what I was thinking. I was just like, well, we just eradicated them and there's no risk, right? Kara and Lyra's head both snapped around, their faces going pale. General Aldir followed Kez's orders to shed innocent blood as well, I said. General Aldir followed Kez's orders to shed innocent blood as well, I said, speaking slowly and letting the words hang in the air. How dare you, Winsam's intent flared, knocking the wind out of Kara and Lyra. Regis and Sylvie remained deathly still and calm, their outward demeanor unaffected. Wait, man, so, hold on, this kind of gives me pause for a second. We know I got Kara and I got Lyra on this power scale, and honestly, I don't have Regis that much further than them. But if Regis and Sylvie cannot really be affected by it, maybe they're stronger than I think. Maybe they're stronger than I think. How are they not affected by his intent at all? I mean, they went still, so maybe they are affected by it. They're just not like, because he says it knocked the wind out of them. Winds of intent flared, knocking the wind out of Kara and Lyra. Regis and Sylvie remained deathly still and calm, their outward demeanor unaffected. Sharon gestured Winsome for calm, then sighed and nodded. I would send 2 dragons and adjust the patrol routes through the Beast Glades. But we will be watching these refugees just as much as we are protecting them. I held up my hand and he took it firmly. I held up my hand and he took it firmly. See that Lyra Dryad and Kara get there safely as well, would you? In my head, I continued. Sending instructions to Sylvie as well. See that Lyra Dryad and Kara get there safely as well, would you? In my head, I continued sending instructions to Sylvie as well. Sharon nodded again, then released my grip. And what exactly will you be doing, Arthur? Turning toward the door, I again pinged the artifact, gauging the location of the distant ringing response. Is what we will be doing, Guardian. Wait, what the fuck? What we will be doing? I pinged the artifact, gauging the location of the distant ringing response. So he's going to have Sharon go with him to investigate this whole ringing sensation thing, whatever this artifact is, like this location that it's sending it to. I mean, I don't think that the Guardian Sharon will go alone. So it's going to be some other dragons that's going to accompany him. Maybe just the two, his like protectors or whatever. But why would he want the other dragon? Why would he want that dragon to come with him? But I like Sharon though. I'll tell you that much. I'm liking him as a dragon. Like I like how relaxed and calm he is. He's not quickly like you can tell that he's a lot more controlled. You can tell that he's not Kez's bitch like how Winsome is. So I like that. Like always like just be calm. Winsome, you fucking titty sucking baby. Be calm, okay? So I'm wondering why he wants him to go with him though. So that's kind of interesting. I'm trying to think like what could actually happen for him going with him and like what would be the purpose? Because it seems to me like this artifact is like some sort of like homing device or some sort of like locator device type of thing that's like connected to Aldarai's mana signature. So maybe he wants him to go somewhere. And then him talking about how the layers and the bubble about the burst, I don't know what that means. Does that have something to do with ether? We know that they're scientists, so it's something he probably figured out, right? But before I get off of here, let me see what you guys are saying. So, Sovereigns introduced so far. Tarasia, Aladarai alive, Vekker, Aladarai and Vekker, Kyros, okay, Sesklar Orloth, dead, yep, we know that. Exeges, dead. We know Exeges was the one that was sitting in the seat, that mana, all that shit was gone. We know who Kyros is. Kyros got killed by Tessia. We know who Aladarai is. Orloth. Orloth got killed by Cerys. And then you got Tracia. Wait, Tracia. So Aladarai is Tracia, or is it? I'm confused. Vekker. I don't fucking know. Anyway, and then MIA, the invisible, whatever. So they're going to fight. Vasquez, they're not going to fight. He's not about to take. I think that's what you're saying. He's not about to take Sharon with him to fight. Like, what would he gain from getting rid of fighting one of the dragons? Like, that don't make any sense. To give him a lesson and show that the Wraiths are powerful. The Wraiths are powerful. Okay, but here's my thing. That could be a good point, but I don't think that tracking device, whatever that Aladarai had gave them, I don't think that's going to lead towards the Wraith. I think it's going to, if anything, I think it's going to lead towards some like secret location where maybe he was like learning something about the world, or maybe he found something and didn't want Agrona to have it, and so he hid it somewhere, and they're going to lead toward that location because he doesn't want Agrona to have it, and he'd rather give it to Arthur, who can protect it maybe. That's what I think. I don't think it's going to lead towards any sort of Wraiths or anything. Or maybe the Wraiths might find them and maybe might follow them or something. I don't know. But I don't think that the Wraiths are going to be involved. But I could be completely wrong. Arthur is enough to accompany him. No need for other dragons. Nah, I wouldn't say that. Because if he brings 2 squads of Wraiths with him, Arthur's not strong enough. Maybe he is. Maybe he is now. Because his fight with the Wraiths back in Vildoriel, The only reason he won that fight was because, one, he had Regis with him, and two, is because he unleashed destruction. That was the only reason he won that fight. If he wouldn't have done that, he would have lost. What's her face would have got away. Because remember, he was fucking them up pretty bad, but he was also getting fucked up pretty bad. The only reason he ended up, well, also he was trying to stop the one chick from escaping, and he was like using Realmheart to freeze the teleportation portal to stop her from being able to get through it. And in the process of doing that, he ended up, like, I guess, shutting off the portal, and that's how her body ended up splitting in half. And then he ended up using destruction because they were going to kill him after that because he was too worn out. And then, so basically he was able to defeat like a couple of them, but he ultimately was going to die and had to use destruction as the last resort. And, you know how that happened. So he's definitely gotten stronger because he's gotten better with using his ether to manipulate mana. And he has the space dimension that he can stab into using the pathways with God Step. So those two power boosts is really big. And then wait. He fought the Wraiths before Sylvie came back. So he also have another layer to his core. I forgot about that. Yeah, he also got that other layer to his core. Okay. I gotta take that into consideration. I didn't even think about that. I think now he could probably take on a squad of Wraiths. But he needed Regis with him. Without Regis, I don't know if he could beat him right now. Maybe. Possibly. I don't know. That's a good question. Could Arthur right now beat a squad of Wraiths by himself without Regis? What do y'all think? Could Arthur beat a squad of Wraiths right now without Regis? Because I would say it would be really close. I would say it'd be a really close fight. Shit, this got me wanting to put the race even higher on my list. I think he probably would, but I think it'd be really close. And I'm just judging off of how much more powerful he is now compared to when he first fought the race in Voldorial. So if you think about that, yeah, he's more powerful now than he was when he fought the race in Voldorial because he's got better control of Realmheart. He's able to slash his sword into dimensions, was a really good power up because now you can hit people from long range. You don't have to be super close. He can literally swipe to the side and that shit come out, 100 feet, 500 feet ahead of him, so that's really strong. That's actually really powerful, actually. And then he's got his third layer of his ether core. I think I agree with you. I think he would be able to beat him. I think it'd be close. I think it'd be really close. But I think he'd be able to beat him. And I think he'd be exhausted after he did beat him. But yeah. But then you also gotta figure he don't have Regis though. Regis was a big reason why he even lasted as long as he did. It'll be close, man. It will be really, really close. But I think he will win. I think he'll win. I don't know how close you think it'll be, Lebo, but I think he'll win. But I think it'll be close. I think it'll be really close. See, this got me wanting to change my list. Because I was kind of going back and forth on some of these power levels. As far as like who I think the top 5 is. And let me see. Right now, I do not have Arthur in the top 5 strongest people in the story. But he's close though. I might have to put the Wraiths a little bit higher. Or maybe I got Arthur at a good spot. And the Wraiths are just, maybe they need to be, I don't know. I have to tweak this list, man. Because right now on my list, I've got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 24, 25. I got 39 characters on the list. Anyway, so I don't know where they're going. I would say I would just put my money on that. It's some location that they go into, something to do with what he found, some layer of, you know, information or whatever, something with the bursting thing, and it's something that he wants to keep away from Agrona, and so that gives them the location, and that maybe he's having the Guardian come with him, Chiron, because he wants extra protection, so that way if there's a fight, he's got somebody else by his side, because he's going to send Kara and Sylvie to help. No, but he said that the dragons was going to escort them back to the encampments. So I don't know what he wants Sylvie to do. Maybe he wants her to go with them. I'm not sure. I don't know. But this is an interesting chapter. It went by really quick, to be completely honest with you. But I thought it was an interesting chapter. Yeah, I thought it was an interesting chapter. So that's what I think about that, man. Other than that, you guys gotta check out The Rising. What is it called? What the fuck? The Red Rising. Red Rising by Pierce Brown. Check that out. That's super dope. I think you'll like that. I'm gonna put it like this, man. Like, some of the voice acting, there's one person that voices one of the characters in the story, and she has one of the sexiest voices I ever heard in my life. Like, it's crazy as hell. If you listen to it, you would know exactly what I'm talking about. Like, the shit is so seductive. It's just like, god damn, like, fucking it's ridiculous, yo. It really is. It really is. But that's it, man. This chapter was straight. This chapter was like a 7 out of 10. You know, it was all right. But I thought that they would react differently when Lyra took out that disc and wanted to give it to Arthur. I thought they'd be more interested, but I was surprised that they wasn't. You know, that's why I was calling her dumb for even bringing it out in front of them. But you know, whatever. But yeah, man. So stay tuned for the power levels, man. Maybe I should just put out my part 1 and not do the whole thing, because I think this video is going to end up being like 30, 40 minutes long. So maybe I just put out my part 1, because right now I got about 12 minutes in finished. So maybe I'll do like a part 1. I don't know. Let me know. But I'm still working on it. But man, I appreciate y'all joining in. Appreciate the likes. Got a couple likes in this video. Appreciate it. And I will check you guys out in the next video. Peace.